Year after year, we hear comps being made to famous Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and almost always, they never come true. Except, this year is different. Bo Nix is being left behind all the other quarterbacks in the draft because his tape isn't flashy and he is not the next Patrick Mahomes. But luckily for him, he is the next Drew Brees, who back in his draft time was way down draft boards because he wasn't the atypical standard at quarterback. But that's not the only similar thing about both these guys. In fact, I think they're so similar, they are basically the same exact player. Let's dive into it. Now here's what makes Bo Nix so identical to Drew Brees and where the golden evidence lies. It is the traits that Drew Brees was the very best at in the NFL during his tenure, one of which is his elite processing, something you immediately see in Bo Nix's tape, and it is his best strength in my opinion. But for Drew Brees, it quite literally is what extended the last few years of his career in the NFL. With the mounting injuries, his arm strength withered off significantly at the end. We all remember when Taysom Hill was coming out to throw the ball deep for the Saints. But for Bo Nix, it is what made him a great fit for the Oregon offense. It is also in part what made that Oregon offense so dang good. His ability to quickly go through reads, whether it is identifying the coverage pre-snap or knowing where to go with the ball immediately, or when the defense throws in the fork, disguising the coverage to look one way, but then going to different coverage the next. Whatever the defense presented, it was not enough to slow Bo down to force him into a critical error. Another thing that made Drew Brees so dang elite, and honestly, the more I think about it, this is what made Brees Drew Brees, and is what makes Bo Nix Brees as well, and how stupid accurate both these guys are. And yes, I understand Bo Nix in the Oregon offense threw short, and that plays a role in the accuracy, but that's exactly what Drew Brees did with Sean Payton. It was their entire offense. Looking at Bo Nix's accuracy numbers, you see how stupidly high his numbers are. 85.5% adjusted completion percentage for the 2023 season. That is crazy high, like bonkers high. And again, you might say, well, that's because he only throws behind the line of scrimmage, but no, using Pro Football Focus's grades, you see he was one of the most accurate passers in college football at short with 89%, immediate at 74.7%, the best in college football, and deep throws at 56.9% accuracy, being third in college football. So no more saying he can only throw short. He clearly has elite accuracy at all levels of the field. While I don't have Drew Brees' adjusted completion percentage, we know by narrative and throughout the years of Drew Brees, his accuracy at all levels of the field is what made him in the Hall of Fame conversation. The consistent fundamentals year in, year out, regardless of the ebbs and flows of talent on the offense and the team, it was remarkable. A little nugget I found looking to the accuracy of both of these guys, and that I noticed on film, and from both these guys' draft profiles from NFL analysts, is that Bo Nix and Drew Brees' accuracy while throwing on the run is out of this world good. Look at Drew Brees at Purdue facing Ohio State. This is almost considered illegal in the NFL for QBs to do, and in addition, it's super hard. Bo Nix can and does the same exact thing. It's another strength of his, and really it only adds to the list of what he can do to extend the play. Speaking of extending the play, both these guys love to tuck it and run it, but not in a super cautious and sliding before they get hit kind of run. It's the kind of run that reminds you of John Elway, who is way bigger, running right through defenders instead of trying to avoid them. And this is who Bo and Brees are. They have grit. They are determined. They don't fear getting hit. They love it, or at least they don't care enough and are willing to bulldoze their way through guys twice as big as them to extend the drive or to get the score. Now, I mentioned at the top that both these guys were being dropped down draft boards, but what I didn't say was it was for really stupid reasons. So what are they? First off, it's the whole they throw short and that's the offense. Okay, so how is it these guys' fault that the offensive foundation is based on throwing the ball short, whereas Bo Nix with the screen game or Drew Brees with the spread offense, they are not designing the plays themselves, at least the offensive structure. That is what the offensive coordinator or head coach for that matter job is to do, especially in college football, where I highly doubt these guys, and really any college QB coming out are having much say in what the offensive scheme is. A quarterback's job is to ultimately execute the offense, to make plays when needed. And it's not like Brees or Nix never threw the ball down the field or poorly either. When I went back and watched both these guys' tapes, I see Brees taking shots downfield, like when it's not schemed up either. It's him making big time throws. And Bo Nix, when it's there and it's crunch time, he's absolutely willing to take shots downfield. And if you go back and watch Bo Nix's Auburn tape, you will see the unhinged raw QB Bo was. And he definitely isn't that anymore. Like, he's a completely different QB. Additionally, something I see with Bo Nix being dropped for that Drew Brees was knocked for as well is arm strength. But here's the thing. You don't need to have great arm strength to be successful in the NFL. If you are great at accuracy and processing, then you don't need to have a catapult for an arm. And you see this already with Joe Burrow, Tua, Cousins, and Purdy. These guys have been very successful, and they are elite QBs without having that Josh Allen arm. And that said, a lot of the arm strength concerns of Brees were quickly dismissed in the NFL, and for Bo Nix, you actually be pretty surprised of his arm strength, like Drew Brees did in the NFL, because the offense is built on the short passing game. He doesn't throw deep often, but when it does, it's not like a complete floater like Mac Jones' ball is. And bonus points too, something about Bo Nix is when you see him drop back the majority of the time, he does not step into his throws. He throws it in rhythm with his drop back, and if he was actually stepping up into his throws, the velocity of the ball would be quite noticeably better. He even says it here talking to Chris Sims.
What's something about you feel like you don't quite get enough credit in this area?
Arm strength and pushing the ball down the field. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't understand how it keeps coming up, but it doesn't matter.
Your ability to throw the ball with not always being able to step into it.
Oh, absolutely. That's the main. If you watch any NFL quarterback, they don't sit there in a traditional pocket and step up into a lot of throws. And you watch Patrick Mahomes, he does it all the time with movements. It's hard to sit there because defenses are too good. Like you're going to have to move around and play.
Perfect.
Pocket's not going to be perfect. Right. Now, when there's times you want to set your feet and get everything you can into it, but we don't play in a perfect pocket. So you got to, make those throws and be consistent when you make them. And I feel like that's where I'm comfortable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, for Bo Nix to really become the next Drew Brees, this is where it all comes together perfectly. It is for Bo Nix to be drafted by the Broncos. And you probably saw that coming from a mile away, but it really does make sense. And I believe Bo is Sean's QB in the draft. Now, I'm seeing people saying like the Giants or the Raiders. It's like, no, I really think Sean Payton wants Bo Nix. Even ahead of like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or JJ McCarthy, which sounds crazy, but just hear me out. When I think of those guys' personalities, I just can't imagine Sean Payton liking them because their personalities they're just kind of soft, which in my eyes is not bad necessarily, but we're talking about Sean Payton. And it matters of him, again, for hating Russ so much. And with him being that coach that coaches mean and hard. And Bo Nix was a coach's kid. And you better believe he was coach hard, especially at Auburn. He is used to the yelling already. It doesn't faze him. I want to point out, though, that it takes a certain kind of QB to run Sean Payton's offense. We have seen multiple QBs try to play in Sean Payton's offense, and while it wasn't bad, it wasn't great either. Payton needs a QB who has that elite processing, that has that elite accuracy, and can still extend the play at the end of the day and not go crazy like Jameis Winston, is someone who can be coached hard without getting butthurt about it. And Bo Nix is that guy. And for what Sean Payton does with his scheme, he runs a lot of power running, short passing, like he did with Slant Boy, and getting the ball out in screens like with Alvin Kamara. And for Bo Nix, he ran effectively a very similar offense. I won't say it's exact, but it is short passing, it is power running, and it is airing it out to keep defenses honest. I'm not really sure how else to put it, but Bo Nix and Drew Brees are effectively the same players, at least with traits and size, and I think mentality as well. And I think Bo could have possibly very similar success as Brees did with Sean Payton if he gets drafted by the Broncos. But what about a guy whose ceiling is almost unlimited? A man who has only played 2 years in college football, but has shown the ability to be a generational talent. Drake May is getting hate for stupid reasons, just like Bo Nix, even more honestly. Check out the video here.